The first time I ever saw jiu-jitsu, it was UFC 1. This little itty-bitty scrawny Brazilian guy was cleaning through the pack and ended up winning. And I remember seeing that and thinking, my God, what is that? And I feel like I gotta learn that. And I remember telling myself, I'm gonna learn that, I'm gonna learn that, I'm gonna learn that. And frankly, I just didn't have the cojones to get my ass out of my house into a brand new gym because it was uncomfortable and it was weird. So literally years passed until finally, only a few months ago, I said, you know what? I'm gonna do this. And I remember walking into my first ever training. Oh, what a crazy experience. I mean, I said I would do it for so long. Finally decided to do it. Nervous as heck. Thought I was just gonna literally turn around and not do it, but I took my first class, rolled with some guys, which led to my second class, which then led to my third class, which then had me falling in love with the sport. This was only a few months ago, and now kind of just training ever since. So let's take you kind of behind the scenes of what's going on here as we do some training. And in this episode of Netting Up, we're gonna take you on the mats and roll some BJJ and show you how that connects to entrepreneurship. What's up everybody, Nick here. I'm here with my coach, my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach, Elliot. We're here at the gym. We're about to get a training session in, but I thought, why not kind of open up the kimono a little bit, show you a little behind the scenes, and particularly not only a little bit about Jiu-Jitsu and what I'm learning, but how Jiu-Jitsu relates to entrepreneurship. I'm an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur, Elliot's an entrepreneur, so we figured we might as well kind of show and demonstrate how the two link together in real life. Like, we could talk theory all day long in entrepreneurship, or we can actually show you practically mano a mano on the mats on what some of that looks like. So Elliot, let's talk Jiu-Jitsu. I know we're gonna talk 3 key principles in Jiu-Jitsu as they apply to entrepreneurship.
Right.
So let's get going. What do you have for us?
Well, the first principle, all of Jiu-Jitsu is based on its positioning. From a good position, things are easy. From a bad position, things are difficult. And that applies, obviously, on the mats. We're going to see a few applications of that. And in entrepreneurship, in business, if you're not in a good position, which might mean you're not eating well, might mean you're not sleeping well, which is why taking care of ourselves is so important. If you're not well funded, that's not an optimal position. If you haven't kind of established your name and you're trying to get, say, a book sold or something like that, that's not optimal positioning. So the principle in general is the idea of work not to win the fight from where you are, but work to improve your position so much that losing is impossible and winning is inevitable.
Love that.
So let's see how it applies.
Okay.
All of Jiu-Jitsu is based on one strategy for overcoming a bigger, faster, stronger opponent. If Nick is the bigger guy and he's trying to get aggressive with me, first, everything depends on your philosophy. For me, I'd rather calm things down if I have the choice or run away. There's no need to engage in violence if we can avoid it. But we might have a child present. We might, for some other reason, not be able to calm the situation down. So what do we do if we've got this aggressive person trying to be violent with us? First thing is to stay in a good position where they can't hit us. Stay in this outside distance where they couldn't hit if they wanted. If they come towards me, I back up. The problem is I might hit a wall. So eventually I have to have an answer for addressing this. Now the problem is not when we're far. The problem is when we start to get into this middle range. Now Nick could punch, he could kick. This is where I'm in danger. So what we're gonna look for is kind of the secret safe zone. The If we would consider this a safe zone, there's a second hidden safe zone, and that's when we're super close. Get close to your problems, dive in. So if he comes towards me, I'm gonna protect myself, close the distance, and tie him up. Can he hit me from here? Yes. Does he have the same knockout power there that he does here? No. So we're just trying to increase the probability that we'll get out of this situation safely. This is step one. Step two, we need some way to take him to the ground. And then step three, we establish what we call the mount position. In the art of war, they say if you're on a hill, is it better to fight from the top down or from the bottom up? From the top down. The environment serves you. This position is very much the same. From here, I can reach Nick's face. Even though he's the bigger person, he can't reach mine. If he were, I could move back. He's got nowhere to go. I can wind up. He's blocked by the ground. I've got gravity on my side. And if I didn't want to hit him, I can just smother. Or if he does try to hit me, we can get to positions that show us the real power of jiu-jitsu. From here, could I hit him? Could I hurt him? Of course. Do I have to in order to control the situation? No. What is it that allows me to have so much power over the situation? It's my position. If you get a minor advantage, you want to keep it and improve with baby steps, making sure always to secure the next best spot. So again, the secret to positioning is from a good position, things are easy. From a bad position, things are hard. Knowing how to navigate whatever realm you're operating in and knowing kind of the secret advantage points and secret positions that give you advantage is key to being successful in any area of life.
Yeah, and so I think the takeaway here is there's lots to talk about positioning, but essentially do your best to stack the odds in your favor, right? Learn the secrets, get the coaches, learn whatever you need to do to ensure that if you're going into a scenario, like you said, that it's inevitable that you would win and that you wouldn't lose, and you can do that by, you know, positioning and putting all these things around you to ensure that that happens.
100%. The second principle we're going to talk about is unity. In jiu-jitsu, you'll often see that people, when they're first trying to, say, escape a position, they'll use one arm, not necessarily in concert with the other, with their leg, and that won't work. What we learn is every move we learn applies our whole body as a single unit, and this obviously applies in entrepreneurship in many different ways. If your team, if you have staff and they're not working as a single unit, your organization, your business is a super organism. It's one entity, and if it's not a united entity, it's fighting itself. It won't be able to move forward kind of towards achieving whatever the goals you have for your organization are. But what we see through competition, for example, you know, if you see two fighters, one who really believes in themselves, knows he's going to rock it, even if he's not as skilled, versus someone who doubts himself, is telling himself all of the times that he lost, who has the greater chance of success? And so unity, one of the ways we tangibly see it on the mat is in our self-talk and our kind of psychology, our sports psychology. And for entrepreneurs, you know, if you're not on your own side, how successful can you be? We see how important it is to grow as a person, and a big part of that is learning to believe in and reinforce yourself. Okay, so we're going to take a look at how unity applies on the mat. So if Nick is mounted on me here, and not only mounted, but maybe even forearm choking me here, what you'll often see when people who are uninitiated try to escape is they'll maybe try to throw to one side, or they'll try to use one leg going in one direction and an arm going in another. If we learn how to escape and we use our whole body as a single unit, then we have a chance to escape. So just to understand how to escape, if I were to push Nick this way, all he would have to do is use this hand to stop me. But when he's choking me, I can actually control that hand. So we're going to use two monkey grips, thumbs beside the index fingers, to pull that pressure off of our throat. And now if I try to throw him off, the problem is he could step this leg up here, making it very difficult. But being students of the game, knowing that, we can prevent it. Blocking right here. Now, instead of trying to move him from here where he's still gonna feel heavy, I use the center of my body, my hips, to take his weight off of me. And now, as I come up on top, here I'm in a much better position and I can get up and get away or step over and myself get into the mount. One of the beautiful things about Jiu-Jitsu is that we so tangibly see these principles applied physically, and we can see how they apply kind of non-physically off the mats. If your organization's not working as a single unit, if your mindset is not on your own side, if you're not supporting yourself, it's very hard to be successful. But if you are, in the art of war, they say strength doesn't come from size, it comes from unity. How does a small army overcome a bigger army? Divide, disrupt their unity, and then conquer.
Yeah, I think the piece that I realized from all this is not just like unity in the business with the team, which is obviously important, but unity, like wholehearted unity with your significant other, unity with your mind and body, unity with your health. I mean, if all these things aren't aligned, one area of your life or business will end up being compromised.
100%.
So it's a matter of alignment into all of that to kind of make it all work.
Yes, The third principle we're going to talk about is adaptability, flowing with the go, as the great Rickson Gracie says. It's very easy for us to run into roadblocks and try to, force our strategy, impose our strategy. And Jiu-Jitsu literally translated means art of gentleness or gentle art. And the idea is rather than try to force something, we simply make a way. We simply adapt, we flow around whatever obstacle comes into our path. So if we're here where my opponent is trying to choke me, and whether I forgot to block their foot or they somehow escaped it, if I go to bridge them over and they post out here, we can see how this will very much shut down our ability to bridge them this way. Now I can try to force that and waste a lot of energy, or I can recognize that when one door closes, another one opens. We see this space that's been created by Nick posting. This gives us the space to move into, to free our leg, which allows us to free another leg, and then allows us to wrap them up, getting a position of control. So rather than try to force your first strategy, you adapt to whatever response they provide. And in this way, Jiu-Jitsu is a very versatile art because it has answers essentially for anything someone can throw at us, but more that spirit of flow with the go, of move around the obstacles rather than force your way through is one that applies everywhere. In life, on the mats, in our businesses as entrepreneurs, things are going to change, things are going to surprise us, and it's important that rather than stay rigidly stuck to one plan, we're able to adapt and constantly adjust so that as a new situation arises, we're not trying to apply an old plan.
Yeah, I look back on my life and my business and realize that everything good that came from my business came from something that originally looked like a roadblock.
Right.
I mean, so when Rickson Gracie says flow with the go, I love that because looking back, everything that presented itself as a roadblock, if I try to stick through and press through and break through that, nothing would have happened. But the fact that we could be agile and adapt to it and move around that ended up leading to some of our greatest successes. So I love that. And if you're watching, don't be committed to that plan, right? Be committed to the plan as far as it'll take you, but then be open and agile enough that if something comes your way, and it will, no plan ever goes perfect, that you have that ability to maneuver and turn that into a win for yourself. So there you have it, training. Back behind the scenes on what it's like to train BJJ, but more importantly, not just to train the sport of BJJ, but understanding how this can really help you in life and in business. This is one of the favorite parts of my week. It's one of the best things that I do, and I encourage you to think about it and do it the same. I'll see you next week on Netting Up. more. And if you're interested in learning more, hit one of the links below. We'll take you to the book, we'll take you to Mastermind BJJ and all that's going on. So we look forward to seeing you soon.
So good. That's so good. Perfect.
One of the most powerful BJJ moves is this right here. That submission. Make sure you don't break anything while you're playing.